All right, recording. So, okay, see you in a while. Choosing to walk the path is but the first decision. The ability to stay on the path for many seems like the biggest decision. There are much temptations and much desires where you could go back to square one, to start from the very first step over and over again. Now that step means that man, it requires one of the great qualities of a spiritual nature, the quality of courage. If the first quality is hearing and discernment, as in understanding that there is a light, and then being willing to be influenced by the light, then staying true to your cause, of course, will be for many rather difficult to begin with. Being true to the light. Now, those who believe in the light and understand that there is a spiritual nature, of course, then will have the temptation to leave it. But once you develop or release the quality of courage, then staying with it is the only true course. And those which have found the light and left it, in essence, they can walk off the path and only to return at a later date. And it could be said that those that do walk off the path do not have faith in the light. But those that stick with it do have faith. So faith tends to be very interlinked with courage. And of course, courage when things are not so quite so clear, quite so sure, when there is doubt, when there is uncertainty, when there is a realization, well, I wonder if this is true, and I wonder if this is just the vagaries of the mind. This, of course, takes the courage we are talking about to continue. It is very, very few people that take their first step and then never have doubt. Of course, accepting that doubt and staying on your course is the only way. We have spoken before about the temptation to give in, and also why things plateau with your success. So stay with this course, and should you so require it, ask for the help that you require. Now, many will just realize that the help they require is a quality within themselves that they should listen to. Let us say the quality of strength, determination, perseverance. But they fail to listen to the voice of doubt and ego. You know the truth when you hear it. And it feels true within your heart. Yet that voice in your head will say to you, I wonder if I did hear that correctly. Yet that truth still burns in your heart. When you have a big experience, you remember it from 50 years ago, as if it was just a moment ago. So recognize that the uncertainty comes with you as part of the egoic nature, part of being individual. And here then there becomes the desire for control and the desire for everything to be convenient, to work in just the way that you want, when you want it, at the time you want it, etc. So it is this control which also limits your path. Can you truly let go into the path? Can you let go into the light? Can you trust the guidance that is there? Can you understand that the experiences given are for a reason, and they can be enhanced upon by surrendering to them? If you try to control them, to manipulate them, to say that I know, when of course you cannot know, then limitation has set in. This is why at this time the courage arises to not know, to have that faith, to accept that you cannot possibly know even but a minor detail. So you think you may understand spirit connection, or you may understand what you could call spirit world. And you may think you know how to connect to that world. But do you? Do you know? Do you need to know? Is the evidence not enough? Then, of course, mankind wants to work out what is love? What is spirit? What do my guides look like? Where should I go? I need a sign, a message. If the call is true, if the need is true, is the ability correct to give this sign? It is not so much the giving, but the receiving of the sign. So one of the big, correct, frequent signs that mankind gets but does not always recognize is the sign of the color blue. The color blue, if you look for it, you will find that it will have been on your path, not just once, but multiple times. It may have begun by a light or a face that is blue, or even the feeling and the calm, peaceful nature of blue. The signs are there, the ability to see them and to recognize them as a sign, of course, becomes the problem. If you would like, you could say the color blue is courage. The color blue is truth. The color blue is light. Now all of these guide you forward. And all of those, no matter how that blue comes to you in a face, in a person, in a light, they are the guide. Now, many of you will resist or maybe not even know about the blue. You may think it is a figment of your imagination. And you may think that it is just something matter wrong with your eye or your internal eye. But this color blue, or the being in blue, will ask you to surrender. To surrender to it, to be guided by it, to release into it. The blue, of course, asks for faith. It has to be taken, to be accepted, to be absorbed, to be trusted. So if you are and have been lucky enough to see this guide of blue, it asks for your surrender. Now you should make a note of how you see that color. Is it on a person, on a face? Is it a blue eye, a blue mist, a blue ball? This also will give you guidance of how you should be or how you should work. Do you ask to be led? Do you ask to receive the nature of your being? This then will show you in the way that it is meant to show you. The color blue is the start of the journey. The blue will become darker, richer, and then change into purple and eventually into white. So have you seen this? Did you ask for it? Did you not ask for it, but your path began? You should associate the two with what has gone on in your life. The courage, then, is to trust it. Can you surrender to it? Or will you fight it? Fight it and resist, or fight it all the way as it takes you forward? You must trust. You see, it is the trust, the surrender that is required. The surrender of letting go. The surrender by losing yourself. You may have developed a nature or possess a nature that is one of strong and rigidity. then of course that rigidity means that you will need it to stay true to your path. Those who are the most rigid need the most surrender. But the rigidity will give them determination until that point of surrender. If you are rigid in your views, if you look at your life with open eyes and go to the point where you truly did let go, for one short time, even if it's a matter of minutes, for one short time I did surrender. Look at the qualities within your being then. And see if that was enriching or not. Now, this courage is often associated in your Bible with the disciple Andrew. The courage of oneself to stay to the path, and then the courage of releasing oneself into the quality of yourself that exists then. Surrender into nothing, if you wish. A simple act, as long as everything else is balanced, of bringing blue into your visualization, or even in the form of maybe some clothes or a scarf, will give you peace. Will come at times with what could be seen as a coolness. Now, this is the coolness of the raging energy. Not the coolness necessarily of temperature, but it can be felt a lot cooler. Now you should look now with this more blue in your life, within the materials you wear, the colors within your mind, and also the contentment in your heart. And let this move you forward. Now I know that with some, I have spoken about the blue within their meditation. With others, we have spoken about the blue which is visible around their being. With others, I've had experience of blue faces. And even at times, people have associated a blue face and changed it away from being a human face. It is of no consequence. It may come in the way that you feel comfortable with, the way for you. Now I feel within the energy of those present that this is not an experience you know nothing about. You should surrender into it when it comes. And it will come again. But if you are again discerning, you'll notice the intensity will change. The intensity of the experience, the sharpness of the visualization, and the depth of the color. Now think of Andrew. It may be someone that you do not think about. But he learned courage and the courage to stay to the path. And then the courage to surrender to the path. And let the path be as it is meant to be. So I issue you a challenge if you wish, an exercise if you wish to try. Something for yourself to give your own little surety. That is for you to sit quietly. And ask for your true guide to come to you. Now, as I said, that true guide may give you an inference of blue. Watch how your egoic mind will want to create it. Watch how your ego would want to make it a certain deity or a certain type of figure. And when this occurs to you, and it may be a random time that it does, let your heart open and the love flow between you and that, or that blue, whatever form it takes. And at that time, if this is done at the right time of your development, then you will think that that being, that light, maybe that angel if you wish, has significance, and it has entered your heart. And it shuffles around in your heart. Asking you to work with it, to work from it, to be with your heart. For many, this is an enormous step. It is the first step of losing identity that they try so hard to control, to retain, to not be influenced by others. And now they have to surrender to some strange being in blue. The energy then can arise. And the energy that is latent, dormant, retained within what some say is the base chakra, can rise along the Sushumna line, working through the blocks, the knots, and rise clearly into the heart. And if you are open to this as well, then you will feel the energy rising to this point. It is not like an energy of minor vibration, but a definite sensation. There are bigger steps afterwards to be taken, but rising it into your heart then will mean that those of you which are heart-based will feel the cleansing taking place in this area. The removal of some of the pains that exist. Not the memory, but the pain of retention. So here again you can find that certain weaknesses are initially enhanced before they are cleansed away. If you have sufficient pain there that needs to be cleansed away, then you may feel stiffness along your joints of your spine. But for some, within a matter of minutes, others a matter of days. Then there is the release. Release of the pains that exist maybe from childhood. And then life will seem to be a little more enriched and full. But all of this begins with the blue that you pull into your heart. And it now comes to the point of life working a little smoother. By there being a little more peace. Not necessarily less conflict, but more peace. Everything to this point will have been, to some degree, cleansed and cleared. The degree of discomfort will be in proportion to the degree that you have held on to your issues. So have you seen your blue? Did you recognize it for what it was? Can you remember you asked for help or guidance or a sign? You recognize that it then came at a point where it started or enhanced or promoted or nudged you along your path. Does it show itself to you in a particular shape which says what the next steps could be? Are you willing to let it be your guide? Now, there are those which will listen to this at future dates. And this is a message for one which will listen to it that is not currently present. The light is around your third eye. You see it as an eye, but with yellow dots around it also. You see it shining and not knowing where it guides you. The white light from it points around the world as you see signs and signals and looks for surety. Accept it, don't control it, let it be. Let it take you to the great sacred sites of the world. And let it show you the clarity of what exists and existed. Let it take you to the man-made, to the non-man-made. Let it take you into the spiritual, to the formless. And let it guide you ever forward. So I wish to conclude as I started. It is normal to have doubt. If you wish, you can see them as your little tests, ranging from small doubts to major. You could see them as the Spirit asking you, do you want this? Show me. Are you ready? Prove it. We are here. And then they will take you forward. Have courage of perseverance. And let yourself go into that courage. Let the blue become part of you. And let it cleanse your being. And let yourself walk your path until you realize there is no path. Let the light of the world guide your way. God bless you. Here, I ain't hanging around. I just got to give a message. There's a lady here that listens to this that does music, and she does music vibrationally. The message of a blue scarf, blue fabric was for you, darling. Make sure you think about it and wear a little bit of blue, all right? Anyway, see you later. Ta-ra.